You are destined to be more. You have untapped potential to do, have, and be more in life. Your dreams are given to you for only one reason, my friend. You are capable of making them come true. But developing your potential and becoming the best version of yourself will require personal growth and transformation. Join me in January for the Fearfully and Wonderfully Me virtual workshop. In this 6-session virtual workshop, you'll discover how to develop your confidence, how to change your mindset, define your dreams as achievable goals, and create a success mindset, and learn how to increase your influence personally and professionally. These principles are the key to developing yourself into the woman and leader you are destined to be. You can find details and registration at riastory.com/Fearfully and Wonderfully Me virtual. See you then. Hello, everyone. Welcome to part 20 of the Fearfully and Wonderfully Me podcast episode series. Today's episode is all about achieving success because that is absolutely a level of self-realization. Last episode we talked about making a difference right where you at, making a difference in your life, in your situation, and your circumstances, and doing that daily. And I think the next level really comes down to achieving success. Now, before we go there, I want to ask you to think about what your definition of success looks like. Because the definition of success will be different for each of us. As a society, we spend a lot of time talking about, a nice house or a good job or a nice car. And those things aren't really what makes us successful, however. Sure, they can be signs of success professionally or even personally, but those things in and of themselves are not necessarily how we define success. Success is more about being happy and content and fulfilled than it is about material things. True success is accomplished by developing our character. Now, competency may give us the skills to achieve some of those signs of success, but our character is what really determines the majority of our success in life and our influence with others. Now, that's not a new concept. I've shared that over and over again throughout this podcast series. Yet we still don't spend enough time thinking about how to develop our character, intentionally developing that. So consider what your definition of success looks like for you. If you could have any career in the whole world, what would it be? What would you look forward to doing so much that you would do it for free? I was teaching a small group last week on my book, Fearfully and Wonderfully Me, a small group of young ladies, and we were talking about success and what that meant for each of us and how we needed to develop our character to achieve it. And one young lady said, "Would you talk about how great your life is today?" And I think she was really searching for some inspiration and some hope that any of us go through adversity in life, but it is possible for us to move beyond that and find success and find joy in life and find happiness. And I think her question was really searching for some inspiration in that area, knowing that she's come from a place of adversity and challenge and even trauma, and giving her some hope that the future is going to be better. And I'm always glad to do that. It's one of the reasons I share my story, is to help everyone understand that what happens in life is not as important as who and what we become because of it. But I had to think for a minute because honestly, my life is incredibly wonderful. And sure, like anyone, there are still bad days or days where things don't always go my way. That happens to all of us. But when I look at my life, I'm living a life of my dreams. I get up every morning and I'm excited to do what I do, and I do it all day. But it's exciting and it fills me with purpose and passion and enthusiasm. And it's just a joy and a blessing to be able to help other people. But what gave me pause is that in the moment when she asked the question and I started to talk about, how blessed I am today, I realized that my definition of success and where I'm at today is incredibly perfect for me. But it's not necessarily how that young lady or how any other person might define a successful life. And that's okay. It was just an aha moment for me to say, this is the life of my dreams, but it's not necessarily the life of her dreams or your dreams. But only you can define what your definition of success is. Only you can define what your definition of significance in the life of someone else is. And we'll speak more to that in the next podcast episode on this. But I want you to think deeply. What would make your life a success in your terms? Jim Rohn said it this way: success is something that you attract by the person that you become. And when you consider what success looks like for you, you also have to consider who you have to become in order to attract it. Now, I know you've probably considered some of that and some of what that looks like in these previous podcast episodes, but it's interesting because you have to apply the principles that you've learned that we've talked about to achieve success. It won't happen immediately, but it certainly won't happen accidentally. And you have to honor where you are in order to move to where you want to be. Oprah Winfrey reminds us, I love this quote that she shares: the biggest adventure you can ever take is to live the life of your dreams. And the price of success is hard work, right? It won't happen accidentally. We know that. Anything worth having is going to require work, effort, time, and energy. Sometimes more than we realize on the front end. But that's okay because we know why we're doing it, why we're working toward it. So, one thing that I like to stress and just stop here and remind you is that sometimes becoming successful and increasing our influence requires us to take on the little jobs as much or perhaps more importantly than to tackle the big jobs. Now, we do need to tackle the big jobs, right? If we want to be successful in our career, we do have to nail the big projects and the big moments. But sometimes it's important to remember that success and influence with other people is also created in the small moments, in the little jobs that we're given, the little opportunities that we are true to, that we do diligently and we do them well. Asking for responsibility, or better yet, just volunteering and stepping up and taking ownership of it, because number one, that demonstrates that we are capable. Number two, it gives us experience. Number three, it indicates that we can be trusted with bigger tasks. I forget who says the quote that if you want to be given big opportunities, you have to be faithful in the small opportunities. And it's so true. I can remember many years ago when I first started working in a doctor's office, and just as a receptionist, right, which isn't considered a very glamorous position by most people's terms, but I knew that I needed to do that job to the best of my ability, because how I performed that job, even though it wasn't maybe a glamorous job or maybe exciting compared to some jobs in the world or careers, it was the foundation for my future success. But I had to honor the small things, the small duties. And I had to put just as much enthusiasm and care into taking care of the little responsibilities so that I could earn opportunities for the future. And it's the little things often, and most often it is the little things with people that are the big things. But I can remember when I first started that receptionist job, working in a physician office, and one thing I realized is that we didn't have a process for calling patients to remind them of their appointment. And so it's something that I just started doing. I just would pick up the schedule for the next day, and all through my day, whenever I had just a couple spare minutes in between checking in patients, I would call and say, "Hey, Mr. or Mrs. Smith, just wanted to remind you about your appointment with us tomorrow at 3:15, etc., etc." Right? That's a little thing. But taking on responsibility and volunteering to do that without even asking, without even being told that it needed to be done, I demonstrated that I was capable of more. I had potential for more. Now, that's just one example as I look back over my career. And I'm not by any means saying that I did everything right or everything perfect over the years. I certainly made more than my share of mistakes. But I wanted to give you an example of how we can take ownership of something, ask for more responsibility, whether we ask for it out loud, literally, or just step up to the plate and do it, and how that contributes to our success. I kind of like the analogy that whatever you're doing, right? Whether you're working in a job that maybe it's not the best job for you, maybe you're not really passionate about it, but it pays the bills and it's going to help you get to the place where you can do what you want to do. You have to be 100% committed to doing that job to the best of your ability. If you're on the team, you should be committed to being out on the field and playing to the best of your ability. Right? Think about that. Because if you're not committed to doing your part and playing to the best of your ability, whatever that means in that job or that opportunity, then it's time to step down and look for a different team to play on. Because you've got to show up as the best version of you. Because that's what increases your influence. I think I've said this before, but nobody gets excited about average or mediocre performance. Exceptional begins with intentional, and we can intentionally shine when we intentionally grab opportunities and fulfill them to the best of our ability. Now, it's important to remember that wherever we are, we want to be grateful. I love the way Max says this when we're speaking on stage sometimes. He'll say, I'm always grateful for what I've got, but not necessarily satisfied to stay there. And I love that. We do always need to be grateful. It's absolutely important to do that. But you can be grateful and yet committed to growing, right? Always grateful, but never satisfied to stay there. And I love that. Just a reminder that, yes, I want to be grateful for the opportunities I've been given and I want to fulfill them faithfully, but I don't necessarily want to stay there, right? Not satisfied to stay there, which means I am growth oriented. Now, it's absolutely possible you are completely satisfied where you're at, and that's okay. In that case, I'm so glad you found that in your life, and you're at the place where you are completely satisfied, and that's okay. That's a beautiful thing. So be the best right where you are from now on, because if you found that spot for you in alignment with your purpose, passion, and calling, then fulfill that to the best of your abilities and grow while you stay where you are. But it's also possible to be grateful and growth oriented, not satisfied to stay there. So think about where you are. Appreciate where you are, but don't just settle for remaining where you are. So as we think about the principles for success, one of the things that I can look back over my journey and just see an incredibly direct correlation is my commitment to growing and developing myself over the years and how that directly tied to opportunities. And it's always interesting. It's almost the law of the harvest, if you're familiar with that concept, where we have to plant seeds and they sprout in the future. Well, what that looks like for personal growth is you have to grow and develop yourself before you get the opportunity. Right? Let me say that again. You've got to grow and develop yourself before you get to the opportunity, because you have to plant the seeds before they will sprout and bear fruit. And I look back over the years, and every single opportunity that I've had, really the only way that I was able to maximize on it and step up to it and embrace it is I'd put the work in on the front end to grow and develop myself. So what does that look like for you? I'm a big advocate in developing yourself personally and professionally. Developing yourself and your competencies, your skills, those are important things, absolutely, but it's also important to think about how will you grow yourself personally? Because I guarantee you what you want to accomplish is going to require you to be all you can be, if I can totally steal a slogan there, but it's going to require you to be all that you can be in terms of your potential if you want to accomplish all that you are capable of accomplishing. And it's an incredibly rewarding thing when an opportunity comes and you're able to step up and say, yes, I'm prepared and I'm ready. And this is a wonderful opportunity and I'm ready for it because I've already put the work in to develop myself. So I want to challenge you as we're coming into the last few weeks of 2020, and goodness knows it's been a challenging year for all of us, I'm sure, all of us listening to this podcast, all of you listening to this podcast, and me even recording it. It's been challenging in so many ways, so many unexpected ways. And I have to tell you, it just because December 31st rolls around and then January 1st, 2021 pops up, just because the date changes doesn't mean life is going to look drastically different in January of 2021. What's going to make it different? What's going to determine if your 2021 is better than your 2020? And a large part is going to be determined by you. Now, that doesn't mean that pandemics won't still happen or all of the challenges that this year have brought. It doesn't mean that there won't still be challenges. What I'm encouraging you to think about is how you can grow yourself so that you are better equipped to roll over those challenges. It's almost like, I don't know if this is a good analogy or not, but it's almost like if you were to think of yourself as a boat, right? And early in your growth journey, you are like a little bitty kayak or a rowboat. And you get out into the seas of life and a storm comes and it's so easy for a small storm to just swamp you. It's just easy because you're a little rowboat. So where personal growth comes in and determining our success is building ourselves as a bigger boat before we get to the storms of life. Right? If you've had an opportunity to grow in the past, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And maybe you've grown from a little rowboat to a yacht. And now you can go through some bigger storms. You can weather the storms without taking on so much water. You can charge through bigger waves without getting seasick, right? And I'm just encouraging you to think about how you're going to continue to build your boat bigger and stronger in 2021. Because I want you to be an ocean liner, right? I want you to be the best version of you, the biggest ship that you are destined to be. So I don't know if that's a good analogy or not. It just, for me, I have this really powerful visual of building ourselves up just like we would build a boat. And then that gives us the ability to navigate the storms that we know are going to come in life. Maybe, hopefully, there will be fewer storms in 2021. But you know that in life, there are going to be challenges. There's going to be opportunities. There's going to be challenges and adversity. And the better we are able to equip ourselves now on the front end, the better we are going to be prepared to navigate those challenges successfully. Until next time.